How you doing? What's your name, age, and pronouns? Okay. Do you disagree with anything that's on the screen? Okay.
Like angry because they didn't win the election. They're just angry and they're trying to kick up a fuss about it. That's just my view on that. Trans men and trans women are men and women. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Trans men are biologically women. Trans women are biologically men. I don't class myself as a woman. I just class myself as just a trans woman. I don't need to try convincing myself as well as others that I am a biological woman, because that's not my life. That's not my experience. And
Okay.
in my view, I tend to be quite conservative anyway. I never was. I grew up very, very liberal, and I was, in fact, brainwashed by the radical left when I was a lot younger. But then as I got older, I started doing more digging about politics. And then I just thought to myself, I was just brainwashed all these years. And so I don't agree that trans people are invalid. I think trans and gay people are completely valid in who they are as people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay for me to have my opinion on things like gender and sex. I personally think your sex is just your sex. If you were born a man, you will always be a man. Now, if you want to transition to alleviate gender dysphoria by getting on hormone treatment and getting surgery to live as the opposite sex and to be recognised as the opposite sex, then that's perfectly fine. You are entitled to do that once you're an adult. And whatnot. But however, that doesn't change your chromosomes. It doesn't change the hormones that your body naturally wants you to produce. And if you have to inject yourself with hormones to become something, then you're not that thing internally. And I know I sound harsh when I say this, but it's simply the reality of the situation. And the reason why I'm speaking up about this is because the LGBT community, especially the T community, has gone way too far. It's being pushed down everybody's throat. It's making genuine transsexual women like myself look bad, when someone like me, all I want to do is just live a peaceful, silent life where I can actually integrate into society and actually live my life as a normal person. I think what I'm currently seeing is obviously being forced down everyone's throat. And what I'm also seeing is that these trans activists, they're not actually trans, they're just non-binary activists who try and tell trans people what's right for them and what they should think. And when it comes to trans conversations, I just wish it was actual transsexuals like myself that were having them. And oftentimes it's just activists who are non-binary telling. And I remember I was in a trans support group, and what I got was mostly a group full of identifying non-binary people telling me that the idea of me wanting to transition to the opposite sex is inherently transphobic, quote unquote transphobic, because it reinforces the idea that men and women have different bodies. And I was automatically a woman simply on the virtue of saying so. And I just think, like,
Yeah.
someone like me
Okay.
at that time, just
Just
such crippling gender dysphoria, and then I'm basically being told I'm a problem simply because I want to transition. Like, why am I here? Do you know
okay.
what I
So
mean?
yeah, I mean, there's a good few things to kind of respond back to there. So I'll just kind of run through these kind of, or just kind of quickly. There are cis women and cis men who take estrogen and testosterone kind of respectfully.
To balance out their hormones, yeah.
Yeah, but you had also then previously said that if you have to take a hormone to be that thing, then you're not that thing. So if I am prescribed, if I'm given testosterone by a doctor to like correct a hormone imbalance, am I still a man?
Well, yeah, the chromosomes are the thing that determine what your gender is, what your sex is. And gender and sex are the same thing. If you're born with XY, you're male. If
No,
you're born with
unfortunately,
XX,
yeah,
you're
fortunately not.
a
Gender and sex
female.
are absolutely not the same thing. They're defined differently and everything, so they are absolutely not the same thing. But look, we can kind of circle back to that, because I do definitely want to kind of talk about the fact that you disagreed with the statement that Elon did do that salute. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely do think that he did do that salute. It's basically identical to that salute that was done in Germany. There have been German people who have reacted to him doing that, saying that if he did that in Germany, that he would have been arrested for it. The groups such as the Proud Boys and the Triple K have celebrated him doing this. And lastly, and this is by far and away the best reason why I think that it was, Elon hasn't himself ever denied that that's what he did.
So, what about Biden and Harris? I've seen pictures of them two doing the exact same thing. Why did anyone not say that then, if they really did it? So, if anything, I think none of
because
them
that's
done
not what it was. You've seen pictures, but if you look at the videos, they are waving to the crowd. It's extremely different.
it. But you got to remember that Elon is very autistic. He can do
Yeah,
things that
so
maybe
am I. I've
perceive.
never done that. So am I. I've
Yeah,
never done that.
I'm autistic as well.
Okay. Have you
And
ever done it?
I've never done that sign now.
Right. So then why are we bringing autism into it?
Because he does make very weird movements. Everyone who has autism has their
No,
own
absolutely,
characteristics.
absolutely, he does. He was at I think it was like a launch of Tesla or something like that, but he was on a stage anyway, and he was addressing the crowd, and what he did to signal that his heart was going out to them, which is what he said afterwards, was he did this. That is a way of symbolizing that your heart is going out to the crowd, not by doing what he did. So my basic point is, and when he was doing that in front of on the stage, this was like a couple of years ago, I think. If he's already done that, like that, as a sign of his heart going out to people, like if he's already established that that's how you would do that by using your hands, then why didn't he do that when he was on the stage the last time?
Thing is, like, as I was saying, with his autism, he just made like a sudden movement that could be deemed that way, but that's not what he was trying to do. And I think that the people that are freaking out about it, they're just angry that they didn't lose, that they didn't win the election. And the thing is, we
This
are
has
just
nothing to
fed
do
up
with that we didn't win the election. This is like this is
just
the second
they're
time
so,
you've said that now. It's really weird talking
because it's
point.
true. Because it's true.
No, we would be just as angry. I'm not going to speak for anyone else. I would be just as angry if Elon did that completely separate. If Harris had won, if she'd won and he did that anyway, I would be just as angry. This has nothing to do with the fact that Donald won the election. It's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, when he done that sign, he was literally doing his hand out to everyone, doing that movement, saying "my heart to yours." He was basically
Right, but
pointing at everyone, but in a different way.
Yeah,
And
but
yeah, it does
he's
seem a
done
little
it.
bit
He's
weird, and I
done it
get
now.
where
He's
you're
done it
coming
now two
from.
different ways. He's done it now two different ways. He did that, and he did the other one, which I won't do. But he did it, we'll say, like the most obvious way. Your heart going out. That is like, if you were to tell me, even as an autistic person, if you were to tell me the best way of making that gesture, of saying that phrase just with body language, just with using your hands and your arms, that's exactly what I do. So you can't now, simply because he turned around and said that his heart goes out to you after he did it, you can't now say that that's what he, because he's already done an example of using your hands and your arms, of saying that your heart goes out. You can't now say that that's what he was doing the second time, because it's completely and utterly different. He also did it twice facing the cameras. He then turned around and did it to the people who were standing behind him.
Right, well, I've never seen that, so I'll look more into that. To the trans thing, you know, you've just heard a trans woman say all these things that the conservative side is saying. That should tell you something, that the LGBT movement, especially the T movement, is going way too far, right? And I've spoken to a lot of gay and trans people who have said, look, they are going way too far. They're pushing it onto children. They're shoving it down everyone's throats. And they're trying to, like, change, like, they're trying to say that they are something that they're not. They're trying to convince others that they are something that they're not. And they're trying to force us to use their preferred pronouns when, in fact, those particular pronouns don't even fucking exist.
Well, I don't know how you can claim that pronouns don't exist. It's a part of the English language, and all
I believe
words
that the only pronouns that exist are. I believe that the only kind of like thing is, if a trans man wants to be called a he, fine. If a trans woman wants to be called a she, fine. But they, them is where I draw the line. If I ever meet someone,
Why?
Because I would respectfully not speak to that person, because respectfully, I would just think, right, there aren't, like, there's not enough minutes in my day to waste on someone who is that self-absorbed. And plus, most importantly, I use correct grammar to call somebody, referring to their face would be them, of course, but I'm not being rude. I mean, they can choose whatever they want to be called, but they don't get to require me to use incorrect factual grammar and factually incorrect. They're not a plural. They're one person.
Well, no, they and them can be used to refer to a singular person all the time. That's definitely happening. Okay, just
I will call them based on what I perceive them as.
2
moments. If they look like a he, I will call them a he.
Hang on, just for 2 moments. Just hang on.
I mean, you talk crazy to me, but okay.
Because I have someone, well, it's my life. So, because I have someone in my YouTube live right now who completely and utterly disagrees with you. So it doesn't really kind of matter if you as a trans woman is saying that this is what the entire movement of trans people are saying, because it's, well, I mean, it's you and Blair White, but I mean, like, why do your voices matter? Why do your voices matter over what the majority, we can say, of what trans people are saying? So that's the first point. And also, you just a moment ago used them to refer to a singular person, and also they and them can be used to refer to one singular person. I'll give you an example. I'm walking down the street and I see a wallet on the ground, and I say, oh, I wonder if there's a piece of identification in there, because they must be missing their wallet, and hopefully I can get it back to them. That is a perfectly logical way of using they and them to refer to a single person. This is not some new age kind of like twist either. I mean, like, they and them was used to refer to a singular person in fucking Shakespeare times. I mean, Jesus Christ, like,
there is only 2 genders.
No, there's not. There's at least 2, but there is
no. There's only man and woman, and that's it.
Those would be the sexes, although it's not a hill I'm particularly willing to die on. I could argue that sex is also a spectrum, but gender is much more easily defined as a spectrum.
Well, I believe sex and gender are the same thing. If you're born a man, you're that forever. If you're born a woman, you're a woman forever. You're not assigned your gender or your sex. You just are. That's what you are. People like me can choose to make a transition to alleviate gender dysphoria by getting on hormone treatment, getting surgical treatment. Tiny amounts of number of them do this now, to actually, you know, be alleviated and to make ourselves feel better. And we're entitled to do that once we're an adult.
But
With rights and with protection, of course. But that doesn't mean that our rights, that doesn't mean that my rights as a trans woman
hang on.
should trample over women's rights.
Hang on. You, when you joined, referred to yourself as a trans woman, and you just said a moment ago that if you're born as a man, then you are a man forever. Is that not negating your descriptor when you joined as a trans woman?
I know that I'm biologically a male because that's science.
Well, yeah, I never said that you weren't.
I am saying I am just a trans woman, not a woman, and trans women are men.
No, trans women are women because women is a
trans
gender
women are
term,
trans women.
and it is a
trans women are trans women.
No, women are women.
Can you define what woman is?
A woman is an adult member of the human race that most normally conforms with social expectations.
Wrong. The fact that you were even having to think that through just says a lot. It's an adult female human being.
No, it's incorrect.
I'm not an adult female human being. I'm an adult male human being who has transitioned to live as the opposite sex.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, like, it's not that I necessarily had to think about the definition for it. That's not even necessarily about it. I just wanted to make sure that I said it correctly, so that's why I kind of, you know, maybe didn't kind of say it as quickly as you did. But I mean, like, okay, do you think, because like that was a very kind of like a dictionary definition, do you think that dictionaries are prescriptive or descriptive?
Meaning,
do they prescribe what a word means, or do they describe what a word means?
A dictionary tells you the meaning of what a word is.
Well, yeah, but is a dictionary telling you this is how the word is used in all cases at all times, or is it telling you this is how a word can be used?
If it was used in different cases, it would tell you what cases it would mean in.
But it doesn't tell you every case, though, because the dictionary would be about 1 billion pages long if that were the case.
Yeah, which is why we have Google, which it tells you which case to use it in.
Right, but we're not talking about Google, we're talking about dictionaries, because you used a definition.
Yeah, like, thing is, the word woman is an adult female human being.
Right.
And what female means is a person who is born with reproductive organs. XX chromosomes.
Mm-hmm. So
it goes right down to your bones. It goes right down to your DNA.
Right.
So if I was to be dug up after I died, they would class me as a male.
Hang on. What was a woman defined as 70 years ago?
Well, I don't know 70 years ago. I'm not that old.
I never said you were that old. You're younger than I am, so I don't know what but anyway, but you can still answer the question. What was a woman defined as 70 years ago, before we knew what the hell chromosomes were?
Fuck knows. Because I wasn't alive that time.
Right.
So why are you bringing up the past when we both weren't even alive at that time?
There was still women 70 years ago. There was still people who used the word woman in conversation 70 years ago, correct?
You what?
Do you think that the word woman was used in conversation 70 years ago?
I don't know how conversations went those years ago.
Take a guess.
Probably. I really don't know what you want me to say, if I'm being really honest. If anything, you're confusing me.
I mean, like, it's fairly kind of straightforward. You can make a guess as to whether woman was used in conversation 70 years ago. That shouldn't be a hard answer.
It wasn't alive.
If you were to ask me the same question, and I wasn't alive 70 years ago, if you were to ask me the same question, I would say the answer yes. Mainly because we have like writings and plays and all of these sorts of things are like written down documentation of people being referred to as a woman from 70 years ago. So you can absolutely say the answer yes to that question. So my point then still stands. What would a woman have been described as 70 years ago? Because there was no such thing as chromosomes 70 years ago. Well, there was, but we didn't know about it then. But we still used the word woman. So what would a woman have been defined as 70 years ago?
An adult female. A person who gets pregnant, of course. Because only women get pregnant.
Can all women get pregnant?
Not all women, but it's more to do with the chromosomes. XX chromosomes.
Right.
Regardless of whether they knew what chromosomes back then, they still existed. And
right, but a woman can, but not all women can get pregnant though, right?
I didn't say that.
But that is, but
not
that,
all women
that,
can't get
that
pregnant.
is
Women
correct
in general
though.
can get
Not
pregnant.
right. But if you are face to face with a woman who can't get pregnant, would you still describe them as a woman?
Yeah, because she has XX chromosomes.
Right, but you didn't know that 70 years ago though. So how do you define what a woman is? We've already...
I don't care what happened to those that many years ago.
Okay, look, if you're not willing to engage with the hypothetical, this isn't really
because
kind of going anywhere.
What you want me to say.
Because this is going down a path where we eventually get to the obvious conclusion that gender is a social construct, and these words do have meaning, yes, but they have changed over time. What a woman was, if I was to ask you what a woman's role in society was 70 years ago, it would be completely and utterly different to what a woman's role in society is now, or the expectations thereof. It would be completely and utterly different. So clearly these things change over time. That's my point. And not only do the things change over time, but also the definitions of those words change over time as well.
I see your point. I don't know where this is going, but if anything, I don't agree with that. I just believe your sex is just your sex, and that's it.
Well, I can agree with you. I can agree with you on that point. Your sex is your sex, sure. I mean, even just for the sake of argument, I can agree with that point, because I do believe that sex is on a spectrum as well. But I mean, but for the sake of argument, I can agree with that. But sex and gender are two completely different things, and if they're not, why are they defined differently? If they're two, if they are, as you are saying, two interchangeable words, basically for that mean the same thing, then why are they defined differently?
Oh, just I don't know where to go from here, honestly. Just I am literally starting to think that almost every fucking leftist in this country and in this and across the world, they're just dumb, right? They lack critical thinking, their IQ is low, and they cannot think for themselves, or they just won't even deviate from their opinion because they're so indoctrinated. I don't know who the hell taught anyone that gender and sex are different things. If anything, they are the same. A man is a male and a woman is a woman. And a woman is a female. That's common sense.
Yeah, well, that is a common sense understanding of it, but unfortunately, every single person who studies gender, who studies sociology, who studies psychology, would disagree with you. And these people would be experts in their field, whereas you are kind of deferring to common sense. Because
common sense is facts, and it's facts over
common
feelings.
Sense is absolutely not facts. Common sense is absolutely not facts. From a purely common sense perspective, you could argue that the Earth is flat. That's not a fact.
Yeah, that is not a fact, of course.
Right, but well, it was considered common sense. I know you don't like how I'm going to go, because you didn't exactly the last time, but say 150 years ago, it was common sense to believe that the Earth was flat, but that was still not a fact. So clearly, common sense is not a pathway to truth.
Back in them days, probably not, but in these days where we have literally everything to know everything, like technology, etc., we can discover these things.
Sure, but you still have people now who believe that the Earth is flat.
Then they're
So clearly,
retards.
okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to kick you for that. I can't allow slurs on live. I will get
Not a
banned. So
slur.
it absolutely is. I'm sorry if you don't believe that that's a
Okay,
slur. There's
freedom of
something wrong
speech.
with you.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah. Okay, so that was genuinely interesting, and I would have actually continued with that, but it's TikTok lives. Jesus Christ, they don't like you if you know what I mean. You have to say like unalived and graped and all of these sorts of things, and it's definitely just do not allow slurs of any